In a video I did a couple of days ago, I mentioned salt bath annealing. And for those of you that aren't familiar with it, salt bath annealing is using a molten salt bath. It's akin to the cooling systems that they used to use on old nuclear reactors and stuff like that. And molten salt actually, it maintains a I guess a stable temperature, which is, why they can use it for cooling things that's thousands and thousands of degrees. So my feelings on it are kind of mixed. It accomplishes what it needs to accomplish for me. It's stupid dangerous, and that's because you get a drop of water in there, you can have a steam explosion, which is just nasty experience for anybody. And if you ever mix up a piece of brass that's got a primer in it or something like that, you're in for one hell of a bad day. So the premise of it, though, it does work. It's limited in how well it anneals the brass, if it even really anneals it. It's not 100% annealing, let's put it that way. It does, however, get your neck tensions back to being consistent. So this is why I've been doing it for the last couple of months, and I've been getting excellent results with it. And I'm not going to go into how it works because there's a lot of videos out there. I will say there are some problems with these Lee melting pots. I've had 3 of them now, 2 of them that won't maintain a high enough temperature, and 1 that tried to kill me. And that was the first one I had that gave me several nasty shocks. I've done electrical work on houses and stuff and had shocks, but this was probably 4 or 5 times as strong. So the Lee melting pot, it actually uses a coil inside which wraps around the pot. That's what actually heats the thing up. You're going to have to create some kind of system to stop the brass from falling all the way in, because you want to have a consistent depth that you're dropping the brass into. So I use a piece of electrical conduit. It's ugly as sin, but it works most of the time. Occasionally, for whatever reason, especially with 308 brass, it wants to stick to this thing, and so that's caused some problems with taking the brass out, withdrawing the brass from the plate. Aside from that, it's been, pretty much a no-brainer. It's drop the brass in, count to 5, throw it in the water bath. Drop the brass in, count to 5, throw it in the water bath. It takes a little bit of time, but it is, there is a couple of seconds forgiveness there before you ruin the brass. Don't douse these things, or else you will ruin the brass. You'll soften it up to the point that the back of the brass, the head, will actually become soft, and then you'll create a dangerous condition with the brass as well. So be forewarned. I take no responsibility. I'm not condoning or saying that this is the best way to do it or even the right way to do it. I will say, though, that it does work for getting consistent neck tension out of old brass that's been fired a lot of times, or even if you've got brass from the same manufacturer that's got mixed up, and some has more firings than others, this will get it back to being consistent. So the big issue, though, is the fact that it does not get hot enough to fully anneal the brass to the softness that manufacturers like Norma recommend. However, it does work. It does get you the consistency that you need, and I know I've said this before, but consistency. Everything has to be consistent if you want to shoot long range, and especially ultra long range, because you will start to see vertical stacking if you have a large standard deviation, in your rounds. So, I've seen the difference myself. I know this works. I've done a whole bunch of batches now. I've run a bunch through the MWS 308 6.5 Creedmoor rifle, and just getting stupid good results. So I'm going to do a bit of annealing this afternoon, get some brass ready for reloading for upcoming courses and stuff like that, and for upcoming videos. And that's it. That's my 5 minutes on salt bath annealing, and I will see you guys later. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe.